Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The Silverlight shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. For those of you tuning in today, we welcome you in. The city where I live, just your typical mid-range town in North America, finally did something after over 20 years of planning. You see, it's been recognized the downtown core is in decay. So, and I've been in on some of these meetings, they brought in professional architect people, like people who have done Cleveland and cities like that. And for 20 years, they've had so many plans go by. It's like, a general where all they have to do is sit around and doodle all day. So, what radical feature did they finally come up with? What did they put downtown in order to make our city distinct and worth noticing? A sign. A sign with the city's name on it. Yep, that's it. That's what they decided is going to bring tourist dollars and income into our area. This, my friends, is what's called justifying your existence. Again, 20 years. I've seen several drafts of the plans, and our downtown could be substantially better. It should be. The guy from Cleveland, the guy who designed Cleveland, no offense to him, but he had only ever worked with waterfront communities before, and we don't have a waterfront of any description. So his ideas, I thought he really needed to do more work on, and they eventually got voted down. This has been a cycle that's been repeated for 20 years. My town built a theater. Let me ask you this. It's Friday night. You live in a relatively major city. And are you going to go to a town so you can look at a sign? It's a plain sign, too, like steel, and I believe there's lights there, but I'm not 100% sure. Like basically what you could get at Home Depot. Nothing special, although I'm sure they paid millions for it. Where they have that and a theater that may or may not be playing something of interest to you. They have small concerts there. People do come by of note. Like I think Weird Al played there once, but mostly it's just, local theaters presentation of King Lear or something like that. Are you going to get on a train for about an hour or a bus for about an hour and a half so you can come here and look at that sign and go watch a show? No, because you can find better entertainment options almost anywhere. I remember when I was young and I lived in a little town named Orillia, and you can look that up. And their local theater group was putting on The Man of La Mancha. Stunning bit of opera. Well, I guess not truly opera. Let's put it more as a musical. And they did a fantastic job. So if I'm in a small town, and there's no advantage to me going to the big town, why would I? They're just trying to justify their honorariums or their salary. I think they're on honorariums though, because next year when it comes up, well, probably this year when it comes up, what did you do? Oh, look, we built this big sign. Now I wish I could contact the local gambling places because I want to know how long it's going to take for the first bulb to burn out on that thing. And secondly, because it's local town politics, how long it's going to take for them to change that first burnt light bulb and how many have to burn out before they get enough complaints to do something about it. That is the interesting part to me. They're saying, oh, people are going to come from out of town to take pictures in front of that sign. No, they're not. And I'm saying that specifically because, like I said, who is going to go out of their way to get a sign taken there? Maybe one of those tourist junkies, but like where they put it, how do I explain this? There's like a courtyard behind our city hall, and there are some wonderful decorations there. It's very well maintained, but they just kind of shoved it back there. It's visible from maybe one road. That road is scheduled to be ripped up and rebuilt, so who knows what's going to happen when that happens. Yet this took 20 years or more, and who knows how many millions of dollars invested into it. I bet the sign cost a pretty penny, and the funny thing is they would have accepted the cheapest contract offer. They all were asking to be paid through the nose, but one of them managed to come a dollar under, and that's what attracted City Hall to it. It's a crying shame because it's such a minimum effort, and that's kind of what you can expect from most local city halls. We're not local. Our city has a population above 1 million. I know some of you out there saying we got 3.5 million, 4.5, whatever it is. Yes, I understand that. But our government people still treat it as though it was a small town in the middle of nowhere. No, we're a medium to large sized town. And it's disgraceful how the position of mayor has been used. It's basically a consolation prize for the big dogs who, okay, I can't run for prime minister or for premier because I've already run twice and it's obvious that they're not responding to me, so I'll go and be, a mayor instead. That's what we're getting. We're getting the burnouts, the washouts, stuff like that. Kind of surprised in the current environment that the mayor has kept their job. I suspect it's a protest and spite vote rather than it is on anything that he has to say, because he's very conservative in a very liberal area. I personally will admit I dislike this man as a person. I've met him a couple times. His policies, it's hard to say because he's one of those guys that whoever you are, he's going to agree with you. And then later on, he's going to do whatever the hell he feels like. And he's the one that ultimately signed off on this sign. Remember, I was talking about you can't blame the prime minister for every single thing that goes on in the community? Same's true with the mayor. You can't blame the mayor for everything, but this is directly under his purview. He appointed the committee. He signed off on what they suggested, and he signed off on the city funds going to pay for this sign that I'm sure in 20 years they're going to be ripping it down because either it's too old, it's too difficult to be maintained because, how light bulbs have changed. Yeah, well, they're going to again. From the looks of it, it's not even solar powered. Like, how short-sighted is that? Yes, we have lots of power here, but the same token, you could have made a nice political statement in saying that it's carbon neutral, it doesn't need any maintenance, blah, blah, blah. You could have sold it that way. But no, they're that short-sighted. It was just, we need to come up with something. Let's put up a sign. Okay, that's a good idea. You need an attraction. A theater can be an attraction, but it can't be your only attraction. While we're there, we can catch a show and see Slipknot. I don't know. And I think even they're too big of a band for that place. The theater is gorgeous and has wonderful architectural features, but it's just too small for anybody big to really want to come here. Unless that's their idea of a night off where they're only going to have less than 1,000 and that's going to be their show for the day. Don't know how celebrities think, but I think that would be the way that I would think. For comedy shows, it would be wonderful, but you never seem to see any comedy people coming up to play it, which tells you a lot. But like I said, you need something else. I'd say a water park, but there's one privately owned one very close by. They would probably have some sort of rights issues. And you know what? It's a lot of money and a lot of insurance. So it's not such a good idea. We're going to have a university there. They canceled the university. Now they're going with a different university. Okay, that can't be your attraction. You need something touristy. Stratford, not the one in England, has their Shakespeare productions. That is a draw because they're lucky enough to get that name and they're playing with it. We don't have a name that anybody would care about. And why this blatantly obvious decision has not occurred to any of the planning committees is beyond me. Well, because they're happy to sit back and collect their honorarium and, meet a couple times a year and argue over, which side of the property that they need to move. Like, they have a building downtown. It's an old theater, not an arts and crafts theater. It used to show movies. It used to do all that sort of stuff. But it's a historical attraction. It's going to take millions of dollars to get in there and clean up the wiring and make it modern age. You know what? It would have been more sensible to override their little structural committee and say, we're going to save the money that we're paying you and we're going to invest it into this old theater. Maybe make it a farmer's market. Maybe make it, an arts and crafts or museum or something. The farmer's market might attract some people because we already do have a pretty good farmer's market. An arts and crafts museum, I kind of think that's been overdone. Almost every small town has their museum of whatever interests the locals. But those are at least ideas that you could do with a property that's literally just sitting there and falling to dust. And we have to spend money to keep it as a heritage property, but we can't do anything with it. I'd rather have a little income coming in than zero income. But this is what local governments can't figure out. Look at the Air Canada Centre in Toronto. That was a former post office. They gutted that thing. And it was still called a historically protected site, despite the fact that they took down everything except one of the pillars on the corners. And it had the old Canada Post logo on it. So if they can do that, why can't we get it and rebuild it? Yeah, I'm sure there's asbestos in the walls, but the thing is, if we do it today or 20 years from now, we're still going to have to deal with that. And at least when we do it now, we're dealing in $2023, which are worth less than $2040, assuming if inflation keeps pace. But yeah, this is why you should keep an eye on city politics, because crap like this is going on all over. Historical site? Oh, we'll just leave it to fall to dust. Oh, need an attraction? We'll put up a sign. And the mayors sit back, unless they do something really unusual, like Glenn Jacobs down wherever the heck he is, and they're actually caught extorting money from it. Other than that, people just don't pay attention to local politics. They really need to. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Silverlight Show. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to click the notification icon down in the corner, so that way you'll be notified every time we upload a new episode. And we hope you have a fantastic day.